tell us what your belief is on Trenbolone.
Honestly, Trent is my favorite steroid of all time.
Why?
It just makes me feel really good. Like, I know it's not healthy. It's not good to take, but for some reason, Trent with me has always been the best in terms of how I felt.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Welcome back to another episode of Guru Talk. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined by my friend, pal, and very informed expert, or guru as we like to call him, Armon Adibi. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Dave?
So, you called me up. Armon's good because you know what? Armon and I work well together because Armon's like a good idea guy because he knows I'm so busy. So he'll be like, what do you think about this for a show? What do you think about that for a show? And I'm usually, most of the time you give me an idea, I'm always like, let's do it, And so you know, there's a guy on TikTok that you met. Explain how you met him and what his whole shtick is.
So I got on TikTok about a year ago after one of my good friends, Claire Morrow, she's a bikini girl. She's like, you got to get on there. There's no guys giving good information at all. The information on there is insane. So I was like, I really don't want to get on. She's like, you got to. It's not like how you think. So I thought TikTok was just people singing songs and all that stuff.
My wife uses TikTok like the Encyclopedia Britannica. That's where she gets all information from. So there is good information on there, but there's also kids that playing games on there as well. It's both essentially, right?
Yeah. And so I got on there and I was blown away at what people were listening to or looking up to for like fitness influencers. And I get it that I'm older now. I'm not 20 years old anymore, but we would used to look up to the bodybuilders that were older. So we would learn information, their experience, but then everybody on TikTok is looking to these influencers the same age. So most of them, they're giving out information mostly about the training methods. And I'm like, well, that's why you're still 160 pounds. I noticed all these kids are following just other kids their age for all this information. Most of it's training information, just literally functional training. And they're wondering why they're still small. It's 180 pounds. And, it's just a different generation. So I, make comments and this, and I'm getting attacked like I'm some horrible person. And I'm like, these guys are so sensitive. These kids are so sensitive. And I was like, this is crazy. And then I hear this guy he calls himself Dtren. And so I'm like, okay. So I see his stuff pop up and I'm so busy. I don't have time to watch my stuff, but the stuff I do see is wild. I mean, obviously a lot of it's satire, but these kids these days believe everything.
They believe, so they're believing him is like, it's like he's really giving advice. It's almost like Nasser used to do back in the day. He would goof around a little bit with a lot of the advice he gave out,
Yeah, but he was doing a lot of it, but he would say his whole thing was like, oh, I like to bend my Johnson tip and put a couple cc's in and kids were actually messaging me, hey, can you really put stuff in your dick? I'm like, no.
Well, his name is Dawson Weiss, and we got him here today. He used to be Dtren on TikTok. Let's bring him in. What's up, Dawson?
Guys, what's going on?
Hey. So is it true? Did you put the Trenbolone in your penis, or is that just made up?
Yeah, that's actually true.
Oh, it is true.
No. It's just a joke I just came up with on TikTok, and a lot of people thought it was funny.
Did anyone actually text you or message you and ask you if they can do that?
Yeah, a few people did.
That's the scary part, right?
But I think most people knew it was a joke,
right?
That were a little intelligent, but a few probably did it I'm not sure if anyone ever tried that. I never heard about that.
There are a lot of people who have small penises, evidently. Luckily, Armon and I don't have a small penis, and I guess you don't either. But they are very obsessed with about anything that might increase the size or girth of their unit down there. You know?
Yeah, 100%. And I always joke about that. I'm like, if you want a bigger Johnson, you got to take Trent to the tip, and it'll happen.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, if you do take trenbolone, I always found that I did have, you know, better erections, and I was much more sexually charged. Whereas a lot of people complain that it kills their sex drive, but they can't get erections on trenbolone. Have you noticed anything dose related to that effect?
I find that with Trent and a good amount of tests, I was hypersexual. Erections were even better than just test by itself. I usually was all over the place.
Yeah. Armon, do you have any problems performing with trenbolone?
No. And the reason I got him on too was I would critique people on there as like, I'm almost 40. These, you know, Dawson, I think you're 22, 23, something like that.
Yeah.
Most people are so sensitive. He's the only guy that was just like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever. Like he didn't take it serious. Like I'm trying to like better people. I'm like, hey, kids, stop taking that much Tren. People like myself, we didn't take that much Tren. I think the tops I've ever took was like 300 milligrams. Dave was coaching me part of that time.
Yep.
Not even that much, but the kids don't believe you because, you know, the size you are. But this guy, you know, Dtren Dawson had size on him, has a good physique. So he was kind of like the only one on there that is kind of backing up. At least he has a physique. And then he was funny too. Like he reminds me of one of my best friends, Blake, in high school. So I didn't make that many videos, but I made a video the other day saying, you know, he doesn't have a pro physique, but, you know, this information. He answered back, and he's not a big baby about it. He's like, okay, yeah, I can take critiques, which is normal because like I know Dave and myself, I like people critiquing me hard. And our gym day, Dave, we would have the older guys like bully us almost, you know, and that would make us better in the gym. And so that's why I wanted him to come on because, you know, I see potential in him, and I see he's wanting to kind of shift from like that influencer to more like of a competitor, serious, you know, person. That's why he changed his name from Dtren to Dawson. So,
do you compete, Dawson?
No, I haven't done any competitions. I definitely want to though.
Yeah. Now are you 22? Was Armon right about that?
I just turned 23 in March. So March 8th, turned 23.
Oh, happy birthday. Yeah, just had a birthday. Thanks. So what's your background? Have you gone to school? You work? What do you do for a job? You know, what's...
I did go to school when I was 19, but I dropped out community college because I wanted to be a bodybuilder, like full-time in the gym as much as possible. So I started working with my dad on body work on cars. He has a business. So I did really grunt-like work every day, 5-6 days a week, just so I had 2 to 3 hours in the gym, and I had enough money to afford my supplements such as food or steroids to work out. Exactly. And I did that since 19 to now 2021. Around 21, that's when I blew up on TikTok, and eventually I started getting paid through like sponsorships and code usage, and now salaries, stuff like that.
Now, who pays your salary? You have 152,000 followers.
I get Raw Gear, which is a clothing brand.
Okay.
Huge Supplements. Shout out Huge Supplements. Nutrition brand. I have a salary with them. I get paid with them. Amino Asylum, a peptide site. As well. Another jewelry brand called Regiment. I get a little bit from them.
Hey, you're cranking.
And that's about it. That's so far what I got.
Well, you would have probably millions of followers if you didn't get erased over and over.
I probably would have been close to probably 600, 700,000 on TikTok.
Oh, so TikTok has been canceling your accounts? What's their reason?
Usually it was bullying and harassment. I would post a funny video.
So it wasn't your content. It was just the bullying then. Yeah,
it was nothing to do with steroids or anything. It's usually when I called someone, I would, mess around and call someone like a fucking beta. Or you look like a girl, and they would take it down.
Isn't it crazy? You would think that like if this was 10 years ago and someone said I got kicked off of some social media, you'd say, oh, you must have been talking about something that was taboo, drugs or something like that. He's like, no, they're fine with the drugs. You're just not allowed to call anyone. You say you're acting like a girl.
I got banned.
You put a tag on someone nowadays,
Yeah, I got banned once for saying a guy couldn't look like he could. Like I was like, you look like you couldn't grow a beard. Bam.
No. Yeah, you're insulting the transgenders. That's why.
Or
Yeah.
they block you so you can't get many views. Like I was getting like 50,000, 100,000 on in films, and now I'm getting like a few thousand. So they do that too, so people don't see your content.
This is my belief, and I have no basis in reality. I have no statistics. I don't know anything, but I felt that when TikTok first came out, they were artificially pumping people's view count up because they wanted to encourage people. Like, in other words, if my son posts on there and he gets 1 million views on a video, he's going to be like, I'm on there every day and I'm going to get all my friends on there. I think what do you think about that theory?
Yeah, I agree. I believe when it first started, gaining traction, I think it was 2018, 2019 during when COVID started. TikTok was really big. It came out of nowhere and everyone was using it. And when I first started TikTok, I absolutely hated the app because I seen all there was a lot of sexual stuff on there. And I thought it was making a lot of men weak or making society weaker because everything was just so sexualized all the time. Like it wasn't a kid's app. Like you'd go on there and then you would see like pornography, like out of nowhere. And I just didn't like that. Or people would post really like personal stuff all the time. Yeah. And I was like, man, this app, I fucking hate this app. Like I will never use it. And eventually I started using it for myself just with posting. And then that's when I started blowing up. But before I absolutely dreaded the app. I was like, this is bullshit. What is society coming to, you know?
I have a TikTok account, but I don't really post regularly on there at all because it's like there's too many places for me to have to go and check. And it's like, but eventually I'll get sucked into it, I'm sure, into the void, as I call it, the void of social media. What's your whole theory on anabolics? Like, when you do your videos, what's the main thing that you're into? I know for a while you were into Trenbolone a lot. Now you're into like DECA. Tell us what your belief is on Trenbolone.
Honestly, Trent is my favorite steroid of all time. Like,
why?
It just makes me feel really good. Like, I know it's not healthy. It's not good to take, but for some reason, Trent with me has always been the best in terms of how I felt day to day, like sex drive, energy. I was always very solid in that department. Even if it was super unhealthy, I was like, well, I feel good. So, why does it matter? Like, fuck it. I'm young. I'm going to risk it, and Trent always made me really big. It wasn't a compound that would dry me out and suck me out. Like I wouldn't just get really small and dry and flat. If I took Trent with a good amount of tests, I'd gain 5-10 pounds in a week of just glycogen.
I've said to people before that you could probably do Trent growth hormone and testosterone and look as good as anyone else who's using 16 drugs. I just think that that's how potent it is. Now, for a lot of people, Trent raises their blood pressure a lot, and it makes it hard for them to fall asleep at night. You ever have any trouble like that?
The blood pressure, but I fixed that like about a year ago. Like blood pressure medication, cardio. I naturally have high blood pressure as a natural, runs in my family. But I've never had sleep issues on Trent. I've never had night sweats. I've never had Trent cough. Only thing that I had bad with Trent was mood issues, like getting like jealous or angry out of nowhere, or like gynecomastia, which eventually got worse over time. Trent was kind of one of the
you were obviously getting prolactin induced gynecomastia because Trent raises prolactin levels. Were you getting like a discharge out of your nipple at all?
I have before once when I was younger, but it was only one time. It never happened again. But after that, I tried slamming my estrogen, taking a bunch of Caber, Primo, Mastron. Nothing stopped it. Once I got past a certain stage of it, like right when I was 21, 22, no matter what I would do, compared to when I was younger, I was fine. When I got a bit older, like now or a year ago, it would just keep growing no matter what I would do. Like nothing could stop it.
It's never going away. And I tell people the only way to really get rid of it is to get it taken out, which you just did, right? You just got it taken out.
Yeah. I got it taken out, and that's when I tried the DECA only. Right because my test, I was taking 70 milligrams of tests a week for TRT. I just said, fuck it. I'm just gonna drop down to a TRT dosage. I'm not gonna be working out. I'm gonna experience that like normal person life for a month and a half.
What would you normally take testosterone wise?
Like 250.
That's it?
300. Yeah. Sometimes when I was like 20, 21, I did cruise on 500. a few times, which was a little bit too much for estrogen. I feel like I kind of got a little bit of estrogen size with that.
Now that you got your gyno taken out, if you're looking to compete, you'll bump that testosterone right up. The gains will come much better if you're on testosterone. But a lot of people don't want it because you said it, because they see the bitch tits starting, they see the gyno coming, and they're like, oh, I can't handle this. I don't want to take my shirt off.
Yeah, it was like that for me. I didn't want to really take my shirt off at all. It was just messing with my head.
Yeah.
And there was nothing I could really do about it. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to get the surgery done and go from there.
I think we can all agree Trent is the best compound out there, obviously. I mean, I had a love and hate relationship with it, because if you're mellow, you might be okay. But if you're naturally aggressive, which I was, Dave.
You are. Yeah, absolutely.
When I was your age, Dawson, I was a nut job. So if I was giving out information at 23, like I might be locked up. But no, so of course we loved it, but I hated taking it just because I was just out of my mind. I would get in fights all the time, and it was just. But of course, it's the best compound there is. But the whole thing with the kids, so every kid goes through that, like for their first steroid. Usually you want to start with something mild, then kind of pyramid your way up. Now, like, when I got on TikTok, everybody's like Trent. And at first I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is everybody wanting to start Trent first? And then, well, of course, I mean, it's the best compound there is, but they don't understand that when you start, it's just like drugs. If you go start, taking dope, like heroin at first, weed's not going to do much later down the road.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
You know what it is, Armon? Trenbolone doesn't aromatize, and it's 4 times more androgenic than testosterone. So the androgenic component of a drug is what causes the glycogen storage, which gives you those crazy pumps. It increases strength, aggression, and yet you're not aromatizing. You're not converting any of it to estrogen. Unfortunately, it doesn't convert to prolactin, but it raises prolactin in the body, which a lot of people then complain about. They get prolactin-induced gynecomastia. They might get erection issues because prolactin can, in high levels, can inhibit erection. So there is side effects, and I've always found that it was a dose-related thing. When I took under 300 milligrams a week, I didn't really notice any side effects. It's when you went over that I found that most people were complaining about the side effects. Do you notice that in some of the people that you help out, Dawson? Or Armon, either one,
Yeah, I mean, I've helped people too. I mean, Armon's probably helped a lot more than me.
Yeah.
But I've given people advice in DMs or online, and some people do get, the prolactin sides. Every person that usually tries Trend, most guys are like, man, I fucking love this shit. Like, yeah, I'm fucking all over the place, but I love it. I'm just like, yeah, it sounds like a common Trend user. When they start, they're like, man, this shit's kind of like fucking with me, but this is the greatest shit I've ever taken. I don't want to get off of this.
So what do you do? How do you mess with people online? Like when you get these idiots, I noticed you like to comment on a lot of people's, posts and stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't do it as much. I'm trying to like clean it up because not everyone knows it's a joke, or people can tell it's a joke, but they're like, you're terrible. You're influencing all these kids and they don't know the difference.
Bro, I had people's moms email me about you saying, can you talk to my kid and tell him?
What was he telling them to do, Armon?
I mean, they were just beating up their parents, just taking Trent at like 19, 16, 15, 15-year-olds taking Trent.
I used to have a video. I used to start off my video. I'd be like, you know what? Like, hey, Dtren, what can I do first cycle? And this was all a joke. And I'd be like, you know what? Grandma Trend first cycle.
Oh my God.
I would say that.
Grandma
Trend first cycle. That's probably your best bet right there.
And they believed you and they went and did it, right?
I don't know if anyone actually did it because I tried to.
Yeah, they believed. Yeah, they believed it.
No, I don't think I would have had the balls to take an injection at like 16 years old. These kids are pretty ballsy today. I got to tell you,
Yeah, I kept that in mind too. I'm like, most high schoolers probably couldn't even afford this shit.
No,
they wanted to. So,
but things are so easily available that anyone can get anything, and teenagers are very resourceful. You know that.
Yeah. So I just didn't really care, and then people would egg me on. They think it's funny, or I'd be like, fuck it. Why 1? Make it 2. 2 grams of Trent. Go for it. Something moderate. And I would say it's a moderate dosage. I'm like, like a moderate dosage around a gram.
Yeah. Well, let me just explain something to you. people, and this is not just kids, this is 40-year-old men. The more outrageous you put the cycles out there, the more they get it. It's like you're a cult leader. They're like, oh, he's the 5-gram trend guy. I got to go listen to what he's saying. He must know the secrets,
Yeah,
People
I had
love
that.
to do more. They want someone to validate the fact that more is better,
Yeah, and I did for a lot of people. I did because I was taking a lot. Like I was, I'm still a young guy, but
what was the most you ever took a week?
Of everything or just trenbolone?
Both.
Trenbolone, the most I ever took for around a 6-week period was around 1,200 milligrams.
And did you feel crazy on it?
Yeah, I was fucking insane.
Yeah.
I was not a normal person. I was all over the fucking place.
It makes you overly confident. It's like a false confidence, and you get off and you're like, gosh, I was a dick to people.
Yeah, I was a dick for sure. Really delusional, like source of confidence. You think you're God's gift to like everyone.
Did your parents notice anything, or did they say anything to you?
Yeah, they did sometimes. People would just be like, fuck, you like can't sit down. You always got to do something. You're always moving around and shit. You can't just lay down. You got to like make a video, go to the gym, go to work, tan, do this, do that. I could never just sit down because I was so stimulated all the time on it. That's but funny. The most I've ever taken, I was around 3 grams, 3.5.
That's a good amount of stuff.
Yeah, I took I think the strongest cycle was when I was 20, which was when I made the most gains. It was a 20-week blast, a bulk, test, enanthate, Trent enanthate, and then the last 8 weeks Anadrol. And I started at 600 of each, and then I slowly went up as the weeks went on. And
so how did you get up to 3,000 milligrams? What were you taking when you were doing 3,000 milligrams?
Oh, I was taking a gram of test, 1.5 grams of equipoise, 800 Tren, 100 milligrams of Anavar every day. Like I was on a lot of shit. So
how did you feel on that?
Honestly, I feel like I could work out all day. Like I started feeling like shit near the end of it. But I just worked out all day. Like that's all I wanted to do was just work out.
You know what the funny thing is? I really believe this wholeheartedly, that younger people can handle crazy amounts of drugs. I just think because their bodies are so fresh. Your liver works well, your kidneys work well, your heart is normal, everything's, and so they just respond. And then as you get a little older, and I always tell people from 25 on, it's all downhill. You just don't realize it until you hit about 35, 40. Then you realize, holy shit, I've been declining for the last 15 years. I didn't even realize it. So up to 25, you can do anything. You're invincible, essentially.
Me and Dave came back. I was retired because I had 2 shoulder surgeries. So I was like, my bodybuilding career is over. It finally healed. I came back because my mom got sick and passed of cancer. I was like, I got to fill my mind to do something. So I came back to do a show. I believe I was 31. I called Dave. Dave like, yeah, it's a good idea. We did 3 shows that year. And I could not, after 2 years just taking like TRT, I could not take anything. I would start throwing up. My body was my blood pressure through the roof. And as you get my age, like I get accused of all kinds of shit because I'm still 270. And they know, oh, you're on blasting Tren. I'm like, if I did that, I'd be so effing sick all the time. And then, when you're younger too, it's like steroids aren't going to kill you like that. But as you get older, and we've lost friends, mutual friends, Chris Jalali, Boston Lloyd, from abuse over the years. And, and your cycles are minimal compared to a lot of these pro guys that me and Dave have seen their programs and it's sometimes 10 times more than that. Like
I tell people, Armon, put your size on from 22 to 28 years old. And then once you get your size, you don't really need to get that much bigger at that point. Assuming you gave 100% during that time period, you should be at your you should have filled out your frame at that point. And then it's just refinement after that. So if you're just refining and working on conditioning and, grooves and a little here, a little there, you don't need to take crazy dosages to do that. And then that will extend your career or your ability to continue doing that. Because if you go at the suicide pace, you wind up like someone like, unfortunately, like our friend Boston did, or or Derek Anthony, or, some of the other casualties that just couldn't stop. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. So you have to have a strategy and game plan ahead of time. When would you like to compete, Dawson?
Either this year or in the next year.
Cool.
I'm trying to figure out a little knee issue I have here, which gives me some pains and it's atrophied a little bit. My right quad, a knee issue a year ago, I have never really checked out.
Try getting a pair of custom-made orthotics for your shoes.
Yeah, maybe
that will solve the problem. You know why? Because the biomechanics of your feet align your knees, your hips, your back, and they can be off a millimeter because your arch is not quite that good, or your arch collapsed a little. Even when you're squatting, your arch is going to always flat out, and you're just using the wrong muscle groups, and that'll torque your knee. It's amazing how these. I have all my clients do custom orthotics in their shoes.
Yeah, I definitely need that because even when I go to like to Disneyland, my feet are in knees and ankles are aching after 2 hours walking.
Yeah,
everyone around me is fine, and I was just fucks me up.
Well, think about it. If you put I don't know what you squat, but put 300 pounds or 400 pounds on a squat bar, and now the biomechanics of your feet are off, and all of a sudden all the wrong muscle groups are working.
Yeah,
and firing, and so it's throwing your body out of alignment even more because now those muscles are being overdeveloped, and the ones that should be developed are not being developed, and so you don't get the development you want in your legs, and you get weird injuries because of that.
Yeah, but in terms of competing, I definitely want to do that. I believe I have the size right now to go pro. For me, it would just be all conditioning. I would just
you want to do classic or you want to do open?
Classic, without a doubt. I believe I have the structure for classic. I could be the size of open, but I'm already 6'2", maybe even 6'3".
Right.
So
that's too tall.
I would have to be 320 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what the good thing is when you're that tall, you can really weigh a lot and still make the weight class. That was what's so good about it.
Yeah. And I just looked up to guys like Arnold and Callum von Moger. Like those have always been my two guys I've looked up to because I feel like my physique resembled theirs.
Yeah.
In some ways, us being taller bodybuilders, and I've always liked to model myself after those two guys a lot.
I see like a Callum kind of type physique, and but obviously he's got cut short through injuries and drug abuse and all that. So, that's what I see.
Do guys your age mostly, and maybe younger even because you talk to a lot of that audience, do they mostly gravitate towards classic as opposed to bodybuilding? And is it because they like it better, or is it because they're not at the level where they can get to the open yet? So that's a more attainable type of look.
To be honest, I feel like a lot of people now in this generation, especially kids, like what's naturally obtainable. So they like an influencer that they could look like in a year or two. Like they'll see an influencer who's 5'9", 5'10", 195 pounds, doing a 485 bench press or whatever, and their physique is very subpar. Like you would see them be like, this looks like a normal kid that's lean at the gym. And a lot of kids really like influencers like that because they think, I don't have to have these amazing genetics or take a bunch of steroids to look like my favorite influencer. I could just lift heavy and somehow, some way, maybe I could look like him. And I feel like a lot of people gravitate towards these natural younger lifters that are very, a lot more easily obtainable versus a guy like Chris Bumstead. People love Chris Bumstead in classic physique, but they look at it, people nowadays, a lot of them are just like, I can never look like that. Like, even if I wanted to, I could, he's so much more better than me. His genetics are amazing. And I was so different growing up when I was 19. Like I was the person, I looked like Arnold, and I'd be like, I could look like him one day. I look like Callum, I could look like him one day. Right. Seaburn. Like I had full belief, I still do, that if I work hard enough and I do what they do, I can make it happen. So I've always looked at these physiques that were so much better than mine. And that's always motivated me, like the classic, just the aesthetic physique that everyone can say that looks good. It's not so overly huge and just, whatever people think. Like some people think it's gross, so they don't like the look of it. But you see a classic guy, and most people are like, "Oh man, I would love to fucking look like that dude." Right.
Do you think that most guys in the 18 to 26-year-old age range are using steroids or not using steroids? What would you say percentage-wise?
I would say it's very, very low.
Oh, really? So you think a lot of people aren't using them, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's very low. I would.
Well, that's good.
I'm pretty sure there was a study I seen that not too long ago. It said that steroid usage is the lowest it's been in like 20, 30 years.
Why is that?
I think a lot of people are just scared of the side effects, and they have a better insight of what could go wrong or the side effects compared to 20 years ago. You know, guys would probably hand a dude some D-ball and be like, "Here, man, you want to get big? Take this shit right here. You're gonna get huge." Or, "Hey, man, like you want your first cycle here? Take some Trent and testosterone your first cycle." They had no clue about it. They look at it and be like, "Oh, I never heard of this," but
I blame the fact that people take too much. So they go from not doing anything, and they like you said, they do their first cycle, they do a gram of trenbolone, and then they get all these side effects, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I don't want to deal with this crap," and then they stop, and then they don't use it anymore, which is maybe a good thing, because back in the 90s, guys would use 500 milligrams of test. They would take some Winstrol or some I'm trying to think what drugs, Deca or some Primabol, and if they had money, they might use GH, but it was so expensive they'd use 2 IUs or something like that. And so people really didn't get a lot of side effects. So they said, "Oh, this stuff is great. I feel good. I don't feel shitty. I feel better, actually. I'm in a good mood. I'm making gains in the gym." My whole theory is that, and that's why I wanted you to validate that, is that guys are just using too much stuff, and and they don't want to deal with the side effects of it.
Yeah, I agree. Even myself, I used way too much early on. But like if you could tell me, like my 1920, mainly in my 20s, my first year on gear, I used pretty moderate amounts, like 500 tests, 20 D-ball, 600 tests, 20 D-ball, a little bit of Deca. So I never was doing anything too crazy. But if you told my 20-year-old self, "Hey, that's too much, don't do that," I'd be like, fuck it, I don't really care. I'm gonna do it anyway. Who gives a fuck? So
there's this whole natties versus enhanced now, which is just like crazy, and then fake natties. It's just like back 10, 15 years ago, no one gave a shit. Like, it matters what you look like on stage. Like, I did my first 2 shows natural in 1, but we didn't care what people took. Like, it only mattered what you look like on stage. And now it's just like, "Oh, I'm natural," to prove how far. No, it's like really weird to me. It's like, who cares?
But you know why that is, Armon? It's because everyone's competing with each other on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. They want likes, so they're like, "Oh, he don't follow him. He's he's an abuser. I'm natural. If you want to look like me, you got to follow what I'm doing." And I think people, it's almost like a marketing ploy for people, because there are a lot of people that say they're natural and they're not natural. We know it.
Yeah, and it's a challenge with being an influencer now, because everything is day in, day out, like constant updates. They want to see you every single day. They want to see your physique 3 times a week, all year. And as an influencer like me, I'm kind of like, all right, do I want to be lean and hard year round, and not gain a lot of size, and really, push drugs maybe that won't make me feel the best, or do I want to get big and a little fluffy, and then people say, "Oh, you look bloated, man. What's going on? You don't look too good. Your diet's off or something." And I'm like, "No, that's just what happens when you're trying to gain mass. You're gonna look."
But it plays with your head, right? It plays with your head.
Fucks with you, and you're like, "Fuck, man. Like, I don't really look that good. People think I look like shit now."
It sucks, because so many pros. So many top pros before social media, we would look like shit a lot in the off seasons, or not even look like we worked out. We took off to
I would have 10 million followers if I had an Instagram back or a TikTok back in my heyday, because I was always shredded, and even when I was 320 pounds, I had veins in my legs, and people would have loved that. So I kind of missed my window. I was born a little too early.
And Dave, didn't you eat a lot of fast food too? Wasn't that
McDonald's every day? If I would have done Day in the Lives of Dave Palumbo back then, people would have gone crazy. They would have loved it. No one would have believed it.
That's funny, because I did the same thing. I spouted that a lot on TikTok. I would tell people how I ate a lot of fast food all the time, like McDonald's, burgers. I would eat clean, but I would eat a lot of fast food all the time, and that was kind of my thing for a while. So
why? Because it's hard to grow eating too clean, because
it really is. Yeah.
If you're eating 7 times a day, and let's say you're doing 3 shakes, 4 meals, if you eat 3 clean meals and 1, crappy meal like McDonald's, burgers, which is still mostly protein, but there's a ton of fat in there, obviously, too.
A lot of carbs, yeah.
If you have a good metabolism, you'll use all that and you'll look better, a lot of times than if you're eating all clean food all day long,
Yeah, and you'll probably feel a bit better too. I noticed when I would eat really clean, I wouldn't have the same energy in the gym. I'd feel a little bit flat, or maybe my strength was off. Versus when 100%. I would eat majority clean, and let's say I had like a cheat, like a McDonald's or whatever, I would feel so much stronger and pumped up. Like I could visibly see my muscles look a lot more pumped in the gym.
It's funny. Promoters loved it because they would fly me in for guest posings, and like they'd be like, "Where do you want me to take you to eat? I know you probably need food. Let's go." All these restaurants they would be talking about. I'm like, just take me to McDonald's. They're like, really? That you can eat whatever you want. And I'm like, no, I want McDonald's. They're like, okay. They're like, Sean Ray made us take to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and he spent like $500 there. So something like that. Not specifically that, but it would be most of these guys wanted to go to fancy places. I just wanted to go to McDonald's and eat.
I love McDonald's to this day. It's my favorite fast food place to eat at. Like, I genuinely enjoy the food. If people say, what's your favorite fast food place? I always say McDonald's. They look at me like, what? You kidding me crazy?
I'm telling you, there's something in that food that makes you grow. I don't know what it is. Who the heck knows? And, only
what makes you, so now you're wanting to get serious. You dropped the Dtren name and now you're wanting to tell us why, like now, of course you're maturing, but just tell everybody why you want to do that now. I'm going to be real quick, but tell
the main reason is because like I thought about, okay, how am I going to be remembered 10 years from now? I'm going to be remembered as Dtren, this guy that, it's kind of a meme that is this typical meathead, stereotypical steroid user, kind of crazy, a bit of a lunatic. Or do I want to be known as myself, like Dawson Weiss, a bodybuilder, someone that, can motivate people to be better than just being this badass kind of toxic dude that takes a lot of steroids. You know what I mean? So like I came into the scene very like unorthodox, right? Like most people would not talk about steroids.
No.
They keep their mouth shut. It was IBB would say, they're athletes, you better not tell people what you're taking. Or there's gonna be repercussions. And I'm over here, I come in onto the scene. I'm like, I take this. These guys are taking this, and people did not like it. And I'm like, I've taken a gram of Trent. I've taken 150 milligrams of Anadrol a day. Like I've taken these big dosages and I don't care. Like it doesn't bother me. I don't feel bad telling you guys this. And I would never tell people that, all right, you need to take this. Like, like I want you to take this. A lot of people
you're just telling people what you're doing, basically.
Yeah, a lot of people thought I was promoting it. Like I wanted everyone to hop on Trent. I wanted them to blast 2 to 3 grams. Like you need to blast all this gear to look normal. I never wanted that to happen. I was just telling people my experiences. But I would say that, if you see a really jacked fucking guy in the gym, there's a good chance he's using around 2 grams of steroids and growth hormone and insulin. Like he's not taking a fucking 250 milligrams of testing that day. He's probably taking a good amount of shit there, unless he already built it up a long time ago and now he's just maintaining. But most younger guys, they're still pushing it. You know what I mean? So I'd be honest with guys. I'd say, you're not going to look like an IFBB pro on 500 tests only. Like that's not really realistic unless
you're giving people the reality of the situation.
I was telling people, you're not going to look like an IFBB pro. You're going to have to ramp up the dosages if you want to be realistic with yourself. That's what people do. Not everyone takes as much, but some guys, most bodybuilders don't have the greatest genetics. Like I would say, not even me. I don't say my genetics are amazing. They're good. But like some guys could get away with a lot less, but most dudes are going to have to take around 1 gram, 2 grams if they want to look like a bodybuilder. You know what I mean? If they're young.
Right. The problem is they'll do that, but they won't eat 8 times a day. Or they won't train like a monster. That's the problem with younger kids these days. They won't train crazy. I don't go to the gym and see people like training like till they're puking on leg day anymore or anything like about like all the people that's around you. Of course, you have a lot of D-riders that want to hang around you because you're Dtren or have a social media following. Like when I was your age, I wasn't on the, like me and Dave, we were on all the magazines and we had a lot of people around us that weren't really our friends. They were just around us because they thought, okay, I'm going to get exposure or I'm going to get clout if I'm around this person.
Yeah.
And as I got older, you realize who your real friends are. And like, oh, these people were just around me because they thought they were going to profit off my, so it's hard to kind of separate your real friends and who's just trying to be around you to, get ahead.
That's the case in society in general, though. What I find is that, when I used to go, and I tell people this all the time, when I used to go to the gym and train, whether it be incline bench pressing or squatting or, deadlifting and rowing, I was scared. Like, I mean, I could handle heavy weights, but I was scared when I always had a positive, outlook, and I always had a spotter because I didn't know at any moment if I was going to get the weight up or if I was going to get stuck. I never wanted to worry about that. So I had to have a training partner, and that's how much I pushed my body every workout. And I just don't see guys training like that anymore, where, it takes 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get through, incline bench press because you got to rest in between. You got to spot this guy, and then he goes, and this one goes. Like, guys are just running around the gym with cell phones, taking pictures and videos of themselves.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I've always been like more of a volume guy because I looked at the golden era dudes, and I'm like, all right, how did they train when I was 19? I'm like, well, they were in the gym for 2 to 3 hours. They were doing tons of volume. So that's what I do. I'm in the gym sometimes 3 hours a day, and people are like, that's too long. You don't need all that. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I love being in the gym that much. It's what I look up to the most every single day. Like, that is what I'm living to do. So
you should do an experiment. Cut your workout in half. Stay in the gym an hour and a half a day.
I've done that. I've done that too. It's just like the euphoria. It's like when you get that runner's high.
Well, you just like to go to the gym. That's why you like to be in that atmosphere.
Another 10 years, you won't like it so much.
I probably won't. No, but I've done.
Once he has injuries, Armon, then he won't like it.
Yeah, I've done heavy lifts too. But like you said, I don't always have a training partner, and I've had 2 shoulder injuries. I've impinged both of them in a span of a year apart from each other, and now a knee injury. So I've been injured damn near the last 3 years.
Did you have a surgery on that shoulders? Did they scope it?
I never did. I never had surgery.
You still have the impingement?
No, but I noticed my left one's a little bit smaller because of that. It's a little bit off, and that's my fault for not getting it checked out.
You're going to have a lot of injuries. It's just part of it. Tell us about your whole Stacy's and all that, your Stacy talk.
Oh, yeah. So
tell Dave what a Stacy is anyway.
A Stacy is just like a woman. Like, it's like a better term to call a girl, right? Like, you want to pick up or see. So I created that joke on TikTok, like, oh, get yourself a Stacy, or all the Stacys love when I'm on Trent, or they love seeing a jacked fucking guy. They don't want to see a 170-pound twink in the gym. They want to see a fucking man. And I'd always just bring up Stacy's, like another way to call like a girl, like a gym girl. You know,
right? Is that like an ex-girlfriend of yours that you named it after?
No. It's just kind of just like fucking thought about it. I think
I'm going to start using it now. I'm going to start using it.
I heard a guy say it a long time ago, like, oh, Stacy's this. And then I just started saying it, and eventually people started associating it with me.
That's funny.
So, yeah, I fucking just people.
Well, it's better. Obviously, you don't get banned from TikTok if you say Stacy because they don't know what you're talking about. But if you say girl, stop acting like a girl, they will ban you, obviously.
Yeah, and even some girls catch on to it too. Like, oh, am I Stacy? Like, I don't mind being Stacy. Like, some girls will catch on to it too, and they'll even want to be one. Like, I want to be your Stacy, and I'm like, too bad.
Sure.
Sorry.
Sure.
A lot of my friends your age, they say girls don't like big guys anymore. When I was younger, girls love big jack guys. So how do you feel about that? Like, not gym girls, but just girls in general.
I think that's bullshit because the bigger I've gotten, the more muscular that I've got, the more sexual attention I've got from women in public. So I think that's bullshit because whenever I see a girl or a girl sees me, they look a lot. They're very nice to me. They're usually always very interested. And it's only gotten more. Like, I used to be skinny, like 170, 60 pounds, that really skinny look. I've had that, and I didn't really have a lot of success versus
you think
now.
it's that or your confidence?
Yeah, maybe it's a confidence thing too, but every girl I've ever been with or ever talked to, like, they always like, yeah, I love the size. Like, they're like mesmerized by it. Like, they really like it.
I think there's girls that just love muscle, and then you can do no wrong with those girls. But then I find that the really young girls like the guys that look like girls almost, you know?
That's
the pretty
thing.
boys.
That's
and
the
then
thing
as
too.
you get a little older, like into their like mid to late 20s, they start to like, guys that work out because maybe they get into that more. And so they start appreciating the muscle a little bit more.
Yeah, my whole theory is the reason why they think they like those guys more is because they've never experienced a 250-pound bodybuilder. Like it's not very common to see a fucking jacked guy in public. It's probably extremely rare to see a dude that's 250 pounds of steroidal mass walking around. Like that's not a very common thing to see. So most women probably couldn't even speak on it. That I love that because they've never experienced it.
Yeah. A lot of times girls don't want to have a sweaty, big steroid guy laying on top of them either. But some of them do like it.
Well, they know
really
the
like
maintenance now too. You have to eat this many times a day.
Yeah.
You got to take your gear. I need you to shave my back, babe. Like it's not a fun life being with a bodybuilder. Like
unless they compete.
You're not the pretty one.
Yeah.
Girls like to be the pretty one.
You might get your mood swings. You might get your mood swings from the Dtren or the DECA, the high test, whatever you're taking.
I always dated girls that worked that competed or trained and stuff like that, so they understood what the lifestyle was about. Otherwise, they'll never deal with that bullshit. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I had friends that had normal girlfriends that were very pretty girls, but they didn't. They worked out a little bit, but they really didn't. They like to go do things and stuff like that. And if you like to go do things, bodybuilding is the worst person to hang out with because we don't really want to do anything except
we don't want to do anything.
And go to restaurants. That's it. Maybe go see a movie. We want.
That's literally what I do. I either go to a fucking movie or I go to a restaurant.
I know.
Or I'm watching Netflix at home.
I still partied. I used to call Dave like, Dave, I'm out right now. I'm like having shots of vodka. He's like, well, you're in shape. Keep doing what you're doing. If you can drink vodka on the weekends.
Most people are not like that. Most bodybuilders are very boring. Like I said, we get up, we want to work out, we want to make sure we get our meals in. We like to go to restaurants, movies.
Yeah.
And then make sure you have sex. That was definitely important. And then go to sleep so that we can do it again the next day, So.
Yeah. So it's basically you're like a homebody. All you do is want to stay home and eat your meals and make sure you're taking the appropriate supplements and you're getting your sex time in. And then maybe a nap before the gym. You need an hour.
That's great if you can do the nap. Absolutely, yeah.
And then next thing you know, the day is already over, and all you did was just eat food, have sex, and go to the gym.
Yeah, and you've answered some emails. Well, I want to thank you, Dawson, for stopping by. It's always good to get the perspective of younger people, because but I think that there's definitely crossover appeal here because I'm a big believer. And when I was younger, I was always looking up to older guys that have done it already to learn the proper ways of doing things, whether it be bodybuilding or, I breed snakes now or whatever the case may be. I always looked to people that had more experience. And I think that, now that you're getting, as you're getting a little older, obviously you can hopefully positively influence the teen guys because they can still relate to you, but yet you're older and you've had a lot more experience than them. So keep doing what you're doing.
One more thing. So I see you getting shit already because you're trying to become more mature and this different person now. And you're going to deal with more and more of that. So how is that like affecting you? And as you just go from there?
To be honest, when people say like, oh, I miss the old Dtren or oh, I miss the old Dawson or, you've gotten soft, it kind of sucks seeing that. Like, I'm like, man, like people don't understand, what I'm trying to do here. But it's just a part of the process. People don't like change and some people don't even like changing themselves. So when they see someone that they really liked or looked up to that maybe was a toxic influence or not, maybe a motivating one, and suddenly they want to change their life and they're making different content and decisions, a lot of people don't like that. And I expected that. I expected a lot of, backlash from it. And so far I've gotten a lot of support, but there definitely is going to be backlash. And I feel like it's just a short-term thing. It's just something that is going to happen regardless.
You'll have more quality over just like followers. You'll have more quality followers and just all these.
Yeah. You have to evolve. That's the whole thing. If you don't evolve and you stay as the same person you were for the sake of being afraid to change, then you know what? You're really not being a good influencer because I've changed. I know you have, Armon, from when I first started to now. I mean, I've changed so much. and evolved so much as a person that people have seen that transition and that journey. And a lot of people have emulated it because they said, if Dave can do it, look, Dave went from a 320-pound bodybuilder down to, a 200-pound, 195-pound, guy in good shape who's pretty healthy, aside from all the little crazy things that happened to me, and was able to do that successfully and with a good mindset, and he's not depressed. And so, you got to be a role model. Yeah, when he was 17, it's one thing. He can shoot Trent all day long. Now he's 23, realizes that's probably not the right way to do it. And I know what you guys are thinking, but this is the right way. And then you become an influencer that way,
Yeah, and I'm thinking like long term. This whole change was hard for me because for a while I was scared of change, or I would attempt to change and I would just end up going back because I would think, okay, I used to be better back then. I had more follows. I was blowing up more. And people are saying, I was better. Some people are saying that. So I'd go back and people are like, what? I thought you were changing. And I really did want to change, but I was just trying to please people and make people happy. But then I really sat down during my surgery. Like I thought, like, what do I want? Do I want to be happy? Do I want to just continue trying to please people? And then I figured out, I want to change. I want to be better. And just because like I took the name Dtren out, people asked me, are you done with Trent forever? Are you never going to take it? I was like, no, like I'm probably going to take it again. The point is that I'm just trying to be a better person, a better role model overall. It's not just, I'm taking Trent out and I'm never touching Trent again. Like people think that it was just Trent making me who I was, like my and my actions. And that's not the case.
That's why I wanted to bring you on too. Cause I mean, people only see this like Dtren or whatever, like, oh, this guy's a douchebag, this, but I'm not dumb. I saw like a good person in you. So I wanted to bring you on.
And a lot of people think that, it's because he's not on Trent anymore. That's why he's acting like this. He wants to change now because he's not on Trent. And I was like, no, I took Trent not too long ago. And
what the problem
this
is?
Way.
All those troll doofuses that you were entertaining as Dtren now are mad because you're not entertaining them anymore.
Yeah.
But those guys were never going to be guys that were going to buy anything that you had to sell.
Yeah.
Whether you're representing a supplement, or a brand, or you're selling your own stuff. Those guys are not the buyers. The buyers are the people that you're providing information to. And that's why I always tell people, I would rather have 15,000 people watch my YouTube channel, on a regular basis than have 100,000 watch each video and have none of them be people who are willing to buy anything, because then I'm just wasting my time essentially,
Yeah. And
I'm not influencing anyone. I'm just entertaining them essentially.
Yeah. And essentially that's the change. I didn't want to be known as an entertainer, and that's how people took me as. They took me as an entertainer, a meme. Yeah. Essentially, like I was just there for their laughs and entertainment. And I was like, that's never who I wanted to be. I'm a funny guy. Naturally, I know how to make people laugh, but I want to be a bodybuilder. I want to be an influencer. Like I love bodybuilding. I don't want to be an entertainer. Like I'm not a comedian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a very mature attitude. And you know what? You'll thank yourself later that you did that, because you'll be around for a long time, because after a while you get burnt out on doing all the little practical jokes and making
that's
stuff.
What happened to me. I got really, like Armon could tell, like he's like, I could tell you want to change. You're tired of this shit. And I was like, yeah, man, I burnt myself out on it, and just getting nagged about it all the time gets old. So I appreciate that, Dave. And gave me a bigger insight, telling, the people that really support you are the people that aren't like that. They're the people that are just always by your side, no matter what you do.
Just something I noticed. So if I can impart some of my wisdom to you, then that works. You pass it on to the younger generation. But anyway, I want to thank you for stopping by. Obviously, Armon, love having you on with Guru Talk. We always get some great interviews in and talk about some great topics. If you guys want to take Trent, I recommend putting it in your eyeball, because it'll probably get to your brain much faster and rot that brain out. For Armon, Adibi, and Dawson, I'm Dave Palumbo. We'll see you next time.